Welcome to the High Performance Man podcast. I am your host, John Fayocavitz. On this show, I interview successful men who have built impressive careers in businesses, founders, CEOs, senior leaders, and professionals who have operated at a high level for years. We talk about what actually made them successful. The goal is simple: to learn directly from the men who have done it so we can apply those insights into our own careers, businesses, and lives and continue raising our own standard of performance. The show is sponsored by the Prime Performance Method. The Prime Performance Method is designed specifically for high-performing men who have achieved success in their own careers, but feel like their body and energy have taken a hit along the way. We help busy professional men regain strength, lose weight, and feel younger without the long workouts, extreme dieting, or disrupting your demanding schedule. So if you're a high-performing man who wants to feel as strong and energized as you are successful, message me, John Fayocavitz, on LinkedIn. On today's show, we have Mark Bowser, who is the co-owner of Ameriventures, where he is a professional speaker and author presenting seminars and primarily in the areas of sales and leadership. And Ameriventures also owns UPS. Okay. Mark, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm so excited to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me on, John. I sure appreciate it.
Not a problem. It's our pleasure. My first thing is, what is Ameriventures? Okay. And what you do?
Well, Ameriventures that's a name. My cousin and I own that. And it actually stands for American Adventures. So we kind of thought adventures in business. So we kind of shortened it, put it together, and it's Ameriventures Incorporated. And its primary function is owning UPS stores. And we own one over in the Indianapolis area and getting ready in the process of buying another one over there as well. And so that's its main function. The other side of what I do, and I've done this for 30 years, so I guess I'm dating myself here a little bit, is I've been a professional speaker since 1993, and primarily in the areas of success, leadership, sales, personal development. That's primarily. And so what companies do is they hire me to come in and work with, like, for example, a sales team to help that sales team close a higher percentage of their calls and so forth. So that's kind of what I've done, that and write books. So kind of keeps me busy.
I guess so. My goodness. Okay. Which leads me in our first question then, Mark. What is the most important lesson you've learned so far that's helped you become successful in the businesses?
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's an easy question for me to answer, because that one came back to haunt me. Is early in my speaking days, I put all my eggs in one basket. I had a seminar company that kind of taken a liking to me, and they booked me a ton. And so instead of continually focusing on my own marketing and my own sales, I just kind of rested on my laurels and let them kind of do the hard work for me. Well, then in time later on, is they and I kind of had a little bit of a disagreement. And where that came about is I had been contacted by a company in my home area about coming in and speaking to them. So I was in negotiations with them already. I get a call from the seminar company going, "Hey, we have a client," or wait, actually it wasn't even a client. We have a prospect, they basically would have said, that is interested in XYZ seminar. They're actually in your home area. Would you mind talking with them about it? And I'm going, let me stop you there. I think we're going up against the same thing. We're in competition with each other. So I bowed out. Well, I won it, and they got mad. It's kind of like putting all your eggs in Walmart and Walmart going out of town.
Yes.
So I learned that lesson the hard way, and kind of had to kind of rebuild from there and not make that mistake again.
So were you in that company? 1993, you said you started speaking. Was that with that company?
It wasn't that early on. Early on, I started in the youth market. Is when you have a young speaker, many times what speakers bureaus and so forth will do is they stick you out in the youth market. And quite frankly, John, if you survive, because that's a hard market, then
yes, it is.
Then they move you up into corporate areas. So I started in the youth market, did that for a little while, and then moved on up into corporate America, doing seminars that I do today.
Wow. So, but you are in your own business with that aspect, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then
Mhm.
the UPS stores came later.
The UPS stores came later, and this is going to be kind of an odd twist, is that how that came about is my family owned the Bright Corporation based out of Anderson, Indiana. Now they are, even to this day, publishers for funeral industry. So yes, I grew up in the funeral industry and register books, acknowledgement cards, those type of things. Well, and around right around when COVID hit, right around 2020, my father, who owned that company, decided that he was done. He was 90 years old and decided, okay, I'm finished. Time to retire at 90. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so he would go in 4 or 5 hours a day, even at 90, and do his thing.
Wow.
He was amazing. And so we didn't think he'd ever want to sell it. Well, there weren't enough family members who were interested in continuing it on, and we would have needed help. And so we decided to sell that. And so in 2021, we sold that company. And my younger cousin and I, we didn't want to retire. We were too young to retire. So we started looking at what else can we do? I mean, I'm out. And at that point, I wasn't speaking very much. COVID kind of changed things there for a little
Right.
while. And that is,
Mhm.
not just our industry, but a lot of industries. And so we started looking into franchising. And we kept coming back to the UPS store as an option to buy into. And the reason for that is we had been a customer of UPS's, Big Brown, for decades at the Bright Corporation. They'd come every day and pick up our shipments and send them out to our customers. And so we started looking into it. It also had a very, very good rating in terms of the best franchise opportunity, still does to this day. And so in 2022, we purchased a store in Fishers, Indiana, which is in the Indianapolis area. And
Wow.
rest is history. And then now we're expanding in that network as well. So we got a couple different things going. We got the speaking and the writing going on one side, and we got the UPS stores on the other side.
You're a busy person, Mark.
Absolutely.
You're busy. What makes it good? And just like, was it your father, right? That was
Yeah,
90.
I don't plan on
But
working until I'm 90, but
they say that when you have a purpose to get up every morning, it's something that, and his purpose was to go to work every day.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and we did see, just like happened so many times, his health was already not perfect at that point, but once he did officially retire, it started to decline quicker,
Yep.
and he did pass away a
Yep.
few years ago. And so he had a great life. He had a great life. He
Yes.
taught me a
My
lot
goodness.
about
Yep.
everything I know from business starting out, came from him. And then I picked up mentors along the way. One of them was on your show not too long ago, Scott McCain. Scott McCain's been a
Yes.
mentor of mine for, well, forever. Since I was in early days of my speaking, he kind of took me under his wing.
Good.
And that's kind of what you do, is you learn hopefully from your parents, and if they're in business, you learn from them, and then you just get mentors along the way that kind of pick up the baton from them and take it to the next level.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Next question. What do you think hinders a lot of men today from reaching their full potential?
Oh, good question. I'd say fear. I'd say fear. It's people are afraid of failing, and sometimes they're afraid of success, and so they think it's like the fear of failure first. That then it gets into a self-esteem issue, that they don't think they have what it takes. They don't think they have the stuff in them of champions.
Yep.
Well, that's not true. And then on the fear of the success side is they look at the opposite or the negative sides. Okay, if I am successful, then I'm going to have too much time away from my family, and I'm not going to be able to do this, and I'm not going to be able to do that, and then this is going to happen, and they start that avalanche of negative thinking that goes in there.
Right.
Balance is part of every area of life, whether we're succeeding or failing. We have to figure out the balance thing between this work-life balance, family, business,
Right.
and so forth.
Right. And when you brought up the word fear, as an entrepreneur, I think if you go in with the right mindset, okay, that I am going to fail and I'm going to have those experiences and use them as growth experiences instead of negative experiences. Okay.
Absolutely.
Because,
Good point.
and I always use the examples. I mean, look at what Steve Jobs and all these guys who are billionaires, Elon Musk and all these guys. I mean, my gosh, they've failed at more things.
And I think that means we're stretching, because I think most people who have succeed at whatever, they've had some sort of failure they learned. Like your very first question to me is, what was your biggest lesson that you learned from it interview? Well, don't put your eggs all in one basket. That bit me hard. I learned that lesson. It's Steve Jobs, like you mentioned, Scott McCain. Scott McCain
Yeah.
had to kind of rebuild his business after his wife passed away, and that's just part of life. It's not a fun part, but this is not a perfect world.
Yeah. And don't follow distractions is another thing.
Oh, that's true. We go down those rabbit holes, and and
Oh,
it takes us in a totally different direction.
it takes us away from what we really wanted, and because it's something you're promised something cheaper or better or whatever, and we veer off and we don't stay the course.
Exactly, exactly. And it's sad to see, but it happens to many, many people, and none of us are exempt to that.
Nope. Okay. Great. My next question. For most men, Mark, on the road to business or professional success, other areas of their life get sacrificed. What's been one of the areas of your life that has suffered, if there has been? But where do you like to be successful now, too? So it's a two-part thing. What, during the course of your time of speaking at net since 1993 or whatever you have, is there anything that's suffered in your life? And where would you like to be successful now? What area?
Well, okay. It's that life work balance has always been tough. It's been tough for me in that, because as a speaker, you travel.
Yeah.
And in those early years, when I was really beginning to make a mark, my kids were young, and I remember I was in San Francisco. Again, I live in the Cincinnati area, so I was in San Francisco doing a seminar, and I get a voicemail from my two oldest, who were probably, I don't know, 4 and 6 at the time, and they're crying on the voicemail, and then that gets me all choked up, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? And so that was tough. And so it was kind of that dichotomy in terms of, okay, I don't get paid if I don't go speak, but
Right.
you got to create that balance, and that was hard. And so I don't travel near as much as I used to. I mean, they're older now, but
Right.
I don't travel near as much as I used to, and we try to take those things into account. And I don't accept every speaking engagement that comes around with the fees not right, or it's a location, or it's going to create something going on, or if my family has something, an event, one of my kids are doing something, or my wife, then we look at those things very closely before we accept them. Where in the early days, man, you're grabbing everything that comes your way. And hey, can you speak on basket weaving? Oh, sure. And then
And
you go figure it out.
and you don't even realize in the early days of what you are doing.
You don't. And you don't know what you're sacrificing.
Right. You don't until somebody kicks you in the teeth and says, "Hey, enough's
Yeah.
enough."
I wish I had the insight when I started out that I have today, but maybe we can't learn it in any other way, John, except taking those kicks in the teeth.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Totally agree.
And what was the second half of your question was, where do I want to succeed now?
Yeah. In any areas, anything that you think you
I think part of it is, I think the fruits of success, whether it's in business or family, comes out of the fruits of internal growth. So I think, if anything, it's area in terms of, for me to be the best man of God that I can be, to continually grow, to continually learn, uh, keep seeking wisdom and the insight and discernment. And out of that is where the outward success comes from.
awesome.
And that's what the thing is. Just keep focusing on that growth.
That's awesome. Very good, Mark. My next one's going to make you think a little bit, maybe.
Okay.
Where do you find yourself at peace? Very simple question, but it's sometimes hard for some people.
It is. I think it's hard for all of us because again, this is a not a perfect world. And for me, it comes in my faith in Christ. That's where I find peace, even in the turmoil of life. Like we have some family members that are struggling to this day. So once you give your life to Christ, doesn't mean your life's going to be perfect. We have bumps in our life all the time that's stressing us out. And like I mentioned, family members right now that are struggling. And it's hard to seek that peace because we start to worry. Well, we're not in charge.
No, we're not.
And if we remember that and kind of give that up, then that peace comes back. And that's a continual reminder, but that's where I find my peace is when I am quiet and when I am listening and when I realize I'm not God.
Yep. You can't do it alone either.
No, you can't.
You can't do it alone.
You can't do it alone. That is for sure, my friend.
Yeah. So which leads to my follow-up with that, because it goes with it. Do you have any sort of a routine that there's like non-negotiables every day?
I should, but life gets in the way. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
And so I've had to be flexible with that. Now, what I like to do is I like to do my Bible reading or I listen to audio Bibles now. That sometimes helps me as I'm on the road or what have you, as I'm driving and so forth. But I have my devotions I like to go through, and I am continually going through books in my area of expertise is sales, leadership. I continually will listen to audiobooks in my car. I'm a big fan of what Zig Ziglar used to call it University on Wheels. And I try to read so much every day as well. And what that does is that helps that growth. That helps that growth that we talked about a few moments ago. I don't have a specific time anymore that, okay, like some people get up like at 6 a.m. and do this and that. My life gets so busy with different aspects coming on with different responsibilities of the different sides of my businesses that it doesn't always work with a specific time. But as long as I make time during my day to do that, then I feel good about it. And now I've learned not to beat myself up. If I have one of those days where life just takes you from the time you wake up to the time your eyelids drop back in bed that night, not to beat myself up. Where in my younger days, I would have beat, oh crap, I missed doing XYZ today, and I'd beat myself up. Well, that doesn't help. So I've learned to not be quite so hard on myself. Try to be kind. Yeah.
That's one person where I think it was just a couple of days ago where that's the first he said, you got to learn how to be kind to yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm still working on that one.
Yeah. Because I do it. I'm still doing it. I mean, if I do something wrong, because I'm also a high school football and lacrosse coach.
Okay.
So it's like I beat myself a lot of times. I could have done this. You know what I mean? But
hindsight's always 20/20, and we think that we should have that hindsight before it happens. Well, it never does.
Yeah, You're right. All right, my last question, Mark, is this: if you were to give that one piece of advice to other men that are just starting out on their journey to entrepreneurship, and achieving success, what would that be?
Well, kind of like piggyback on what we just talked about, continually learn and grow. Read 30 minutes a day in whatever area you want to develop yourself in. If you read about 20 to 30 minutes a day for the average reader, that's going to be about at least one book per month. Research shows if you read one book a month in whatever area, like let's say sales, if you want to be a better sales professional, if you read one sales book in a month for 5 years, you'll be in the top 5% experts in sales in the world. And what you'll find out is all of a sudden you're in a sales call and something pops into your head and words start coming out of your mouth. And it's kind of like, wow, I heard Brian Tracy say that the other day on a tape. or I just read Zig Ziglar talking about that, or
Yeah.
I read this dude, Mark Bowser or Scott McCain said XYZ. And all of a sudden, those are coming out of our mouths because we thought maybe it was going in and going out. No, it goes in and it stays.
Yeah.
And
That's a
then
great point.
we mentioned University on Wheels. I
Yep.
believe that turn the radio off most of the time and put in some audio program from Audible or Apple audiobooks or wherever you find audiobooks. There's a plethora of good stuff out there.
Yes. If we could just get away from our phone and go
Yeah.
back to something that we used to do when we were kids. You know what I mean? We didn't have it
Exactly.
before. I mean, we read. You know, you didn't have all the TV shows you had before. You didn't have, you know, I don't even listen.
You're right.
I don't even listen to news anymore. I mean, it's
Is it news?
you know, because you don't even, again, going back to that, you don't know who to trust.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true. And there's so many voices out there now. There's so many different voices. We had what, 3? Well, now we're really dating
ABC,
ourselves.
CBS, and NBC. That's all we had.
We're really dating ourselves now.
I know we are.
Younger men listening to this are going, what are they talking about? I only had 3 channels, and you had to move the rabbit ears to get them to work.
Exactly. But reading books, okay,
Yeah.
like you said, how many people do you think read a book in a month?
Very few. Very few. Do you know how many people don't have a library? Now, you don't need it as much, but have a library card?
Right.
Very, very few people. And it's free. You can get one for free. So people aren't visiting libraries. People aren't visiting digital libraries like a Kindle or, again, Apple Books or what have you. It's just not happening. And that's why it makes the difference. And that's why there's this ocean between the people who are successful and the people who aren't.
Or not. You got it.
It's not rocket science.
No.
I mean, it's just learning what the people did before us, getting a mentor and learning from their mistakes, trying not to make those mistakes and just continuing moving forward.
And this is why I started the podcast, is to get these insights and tips from people who've done it. Okay. Because again, this is my venture into something new. I had a brick and mortar business for 12 years. And before that, even up in Pennsylvania, but I wanted to do something different. Like I just wanted to branch out, and I wanted to get the tips and the insights of people who have already done it.
Well, you're doing a great job, and it's a huge, huge service or even ministry to the men out there in America and beyond.
It's gotten to me, you know, I've had so many great feedback that it's getting, I'm going to go another course. I'm going to, after I'm done, I'm going to stop this part of the podcast, and I'm going to develop a group podcast where we meet once a month or every 2 weeks as a group.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So I'm going to put all the people I've talked to and see if they're interested. And you don't have to come every month, every week. It's just going to be there. That's going to be the link. This is what we're going to do. You know, if you want, you know, it doesn't have to be about business.
Yeah.
Be about whatever you want it to be that day.
Kind of a recorded roundtable.
Exactly.
A networking group that people get to listen in and learn from it. I mean, think about if we could sit in and listen to Steve Jobs and Walt Disney and Elon Musk and Jack Welch, if they were all in one little room talking.
Yep.
Now we won't be as good as them. Let me just put that out there right now. those guys are brilliant. Those guys are all geniuses.
That's my next plan, and that's when it hit me just the other day. I was telling my girlfriend, I said, you know, this is something that, because I'm getting responses so good that they want to talk. Men need help. We got to understand.
We do.
We got to understand that we need each other's help.
Yeah, and our culture has dumbed down what a man is.
Yeah,
and has such a false impression of what a man is. 2 years ago, they did a short podcast. A friend of mine, Chris Widener and Larry Wingett, they did it was called the Real Man Podcast. And it's I'm sure it's still out there on the web. People can find those. And they didn't do it very long, but they wanted to show the world or America what is a real man. What is a real man and what isn't a real man? Well, it's you know, it's even sad that we even have to talk about that, but we've gotten so confused of what are the responsibilities of man, what
Mhm.
aren't the responsibilities of man, where do men need to step up, and quite frankly,
Yep.
we all need to step up. Men have
Yep.
gotten lazy, and I'm talking primarily in terms of the culture at that point. We've
Yep.
gotten lazy, and it's time for us to take the lead,
Yep.
that servant leadership. And so
Good as
this is a great podcast. You do a great service, like I mentioned, and
thank
let me
you.
just thank you
Well,
from as a listener.
I
So
will be. You'll hear more from me.
okay, sounds
All
good.
right. So, Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. So, thank you
Well,
so
thank
much
you.
for
It's been my
taking the
pleasure.
time. I mean, your insights, everything was great. Okay. I love having the discussion with you, and I know our audience is going to do the same. Okay.
Well, thank you, John.
You're so welcome. And as a reminder to everyone listening, this show is brought to you by the Prime Performance Method, where I help high performing men rebuild their strength, energy, and confidence without sacrificing their careers. So if you're ready to feel strong in your body as you are successful in your business, message me, John Fayocavitz, on LinkedIn. Until our next episode, perform strong in all areas of your life.